only gave birth 30 minutes ago, but we have someone waiting on this room, so we gotta make this quick. Here is your bill for $10,000. No, that can't be right. It should only be like $2,000 to $3,000. I have health insurance and I chose this hospital because it's in network. See, honey, the hospital's in network, but the doctor who delivered your baby and the anesthesiologist were out of network doctors, so they're not covered by your insurance at all. What? No one told me this could happen. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this. Well, you better scurry on back to work then, because your employer wasn't required to provide any maternity leave, and if you miss a day, you might lose your job and not be able to pay us.
This is some bull.
It's a matter of opinion. If I'm right, I'm leaving no one out to go outside, putting chores and obligations on our part.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Matter of Opinion. I'm your boy, Walls P.
I'm your girl, Erica.
Now, on today's episode, we got a controversial topic, which is pretty much the predatorial practices of health insurance companies and Luigi Mangione's actions. Now, for those who don't know who Luigi Mangione is, he's the man that deleted the United Health CEO by the name of Brian Thompson on December 4th. For those who aren't up to speed, here's a refresher of what took place.
This afternoon, Luigi Mangione will appear in a federal courtroom in Manhattan. A federal indictment was just unsealed. Mangione now faces 4 counts of stalking, murder through the use of a firearm, and a firearms offense involving a silencer. The accused killer also facing first and second-degree murder charges in New York City related to that Midtown Manhattan killing of Brian Thompson during the early morning hours of December 4th. The expected federal charges that await could make Mangione eligible for the death penalty.
Now, contrary to popular belief, a lot of people are saying that he's a hero, so to speak. With that being said, we all know that him deleting Brian Thompson, there's no excuses for that. You deleted him, so now you should face the charges, whatever penalty is coming to you. That's not what the debate is. This debate is about. He is guilty he's guilty, pretty much. The debate is about a clip that Piers Morgan had with a woman by the name of Taylor Lorenz, and she basically was saying she took joy in what happened. And there was a back and forth banter with Piers Morgan, and we're gonna get into that clip. And for those who don't know who Taylor Lorenz is, she's a journalist, a commentator, and she's also a columnist for the Washington Post. So here's that clip of the back and forth banter that Piers Morgan and Taylor Lorenz had.
This issue of Brian Thompson, one of the top healthcare executives in the country, I'm just curious why your first reaction would be to his cold-blooded execution. And people wonder why we want these executives dead. And then you later commented when people were giving you a lot of blowback, I'm not alone, you said. Healthcare executive down with party balloons was on a next post that you commented on. Why would you be in such a celebratory mood about the execution of another human being? Aren't you supposed to be on the caring, sharing left where, you believe in the sanctity of life?
I do believe in the sanctity of life. And I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy in a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again,
we're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Thousands of Americans that he murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix the system.
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question funny.
A bloke's been murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
I don't find it funny that tens of thousands of Americans die every year and because they are denied life-saving healthcare from people like the CEO. Now, I want to fix the system. You're right. We shouldn't be going around shooting each other with vigilante justice. No. I think that it is a good thing that this murder has led to America, or really the media elites and politicians in this country paying attention to this issue for the first time. You mentioned you couldn't understand why somebody would feel this reaction when they watched a CEO die. It's because you have not dealt, it sounds like, with the American healthcare system in the way that millions of other Americans have.
I've dealt with the healthcare system in various ways in America. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but the idea that I would view it as something...
Have you been denied life-saving treatment?
The idea that I would view it as something joyful, that a man has been, who's just a healthcare executive, has been executed in the street, I find completely bizarre.
All right, so my question to you, Erica P, is, do you feel that her having joy or others like her having joy or viewing Luigi Mangione as a hero or a vigilante, do you agree with this premises?
Unfortunately, I do not. I don't agree with it because it's not right. Somebody, one, lost their life. Two, I get that the CEO is a job. I should not be fearful of going to work and have the potential of being deleted. Two, I'm sorry, even when you look at her expression when they're asking her questions, you're smiling and you're being gleeful. That's not okay. At the end of the day, it's a job. Once he is finished his job, he is still a person outside of it. And yes, I understand the whole system is broken. The system does need to be fixed, but you don't fix a system by deleting someone. Because guess what? Right now, he may have been the best person for that job. Now you're going to have a whole slew of people who are not going to take the job. So that means the best person for the job is no longer going to be there because they are going to fear that retaliation of what this Luigi person did. So now you're going to have a whole batch of people going, hey, I don't want to be the forefront of a company anymore. And people keep failing to realize a CEO can only do but so much. They still have a board of directors that they have to deal with. They also have other executives that they have to deal with. They also have to deal with all of the other local and governmental rules that they have to deal with. So if nobody's been in that position before, it's hard to explain it. All they're saying is, hey, you're the front person for this company, and that's it. It's not okay.
For me, I understand everything that you basically said. I understand there's a board and everything like that, but people view it as the CEO, the buck stops with you at the end of the day. That's why you're the CEO. And when you have people who are being denied of insurance when it comes to certain procedures and all these other things, that's going to build resentment. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, because for me, I don't see nothing wrong with certain people feeling joy or happy for what happened. And the reason why I'm saying I don't feel like shame upon those people, let's just say for the sake of argument, right? Your husband is a teacher. He's paying money throughout the year for the summertime, for when the summertime comes, money is put aside so that they can have money. Y'all can have money during the summer when, you know, school's out, whatever, this, that, and the third, so that y'all could be financially okay. So now with that school district, the superintendent and the school board and everybody come up with a plan to basically, those who invested in the money, they find a loophole to keep that money, or for them to not to give out them payments, whatever, which can be go back into the school system or whatever the case may be. However, they're gonna prioritize that money. Basically, they found a loophole to screw people that invested into that. So now the summertime come, boom, you're looking for your money, you don't get it. So now with all the stress and everything, your husband delete himself. Now that's an ugly act in itself, deleting himself, because of all the pressure and all of this stuff, he delete himself. You mean to tell me if somebody took the law upon their own hands and deleted that superintendent, you're not gonna feel some type of joy or retribution to what happened to your husband because of their predatorial practices? You're not gonna feel any type. You're not gonna feel
No,
happy or whatever. No, none whatsoever.
I'm not. None whatsoever. And the reason is that means we planned poorly. If you're telling me that we got screwed out of this money, now we have to pivot. I can't be mad if at somebody else if I have to learn how to pivot.
But how is
Can't
that?
be.
How is that?
But you can't tell me.
How is that planning poorly if I'm investing or taking money from my hard-earned work to put aside for you to have from me? That's not planning poorly. If anything, that's planning the way they say you're supposed to, which is investing or whatever the case may be. That's no different if you invest in the stock market or something like that, and somehow you get screwed or whatever for something that you're not in charge of. We're not saying the stock market plummet, but whoever is holding the stocks or whatever, they do something wrong, everybody gets screwed. No, if you did something wrong, some type of predatorial practices, and the people got screwed, that's up to that establishment to get to the people the money that they screwed them over on. It's not I planned wrong or whatever the case may be and it's gone. No, I understand if the stock market drop or whatever, or the stock market plummet, you lose the money. But if it's something that establishment did that I'm using to invest the money in and they get screwed, no, you're supposed to still give me my bread that I've been putting money into. So how is that poor planning?
But that's what I'm saying though. When you're telling me they invested, I don't know what the risk is. If you're telling me, hey, your money's coming out of your check and it's going into, like you said, your example, the stock market, then you know there's some kind of risk. If there's some kind of risk, then yes, you're willingly taking on that kind of risk because there is not a guarantee for that. Now, if you're telling me, hey, I planned on being a 12-month employee and you were supposed to put my 12-month employee into a stable account to be able to pay me, that's something completely different. And yes, I would still be mad, but I'm not going to go delete the person.
I didn't say you you delete them. That person got deleted because other people felt they got screwed. You're not going to feel happy
Correct,
that person got deleted?
No, because my thing is, if you're supposed to value life in general, I can't be happy that somebody else did that.
Let me ask you
I
this.
can't, regardless.
Let me ask you this. What is the difference between somebody feeling they got screwed, they took the law into their own hands, and they deleted this person, or a person is found guilty and faced the death penalty and die? What's the difference? At the end of the day, they still meet their demise.
They met their demise, but they met their demise in a different manner. And I think that's what bothers me about that. If someone takes it into their own hands to delete somebody because they felt strongly about something, that is a
So then
problem.
what?
Compared to if that person did something wrong and then their consequence is that they got deleted. It has a different premise.
So
It has a different feeling.
So what
towards it.
about these insurance companies taking matters into their own hands when it comes to these predatorial practices, as far as trying to legislate how long a surgery should take and all these other things, and the doctors is literally telling them, no, that's not the case. But yet you're telling them, you're taking matters into your own hands, telling those professionals what should be what. Case in example, and this is where Luigi Mangione, a lot of people view him as a hero, because do you realize that not too long ago, before this happened, Blue Cross was planning on not paying for anesthesia when it comes to certain surgeries. They had I guess they looked at it analytically and was on some, hey, anesthesia, we're gonna provide for this certain amount of time. And here's the article right here. It says, Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield said Thursday it's not going ahead with a policy change that would limit reimbursement for anesthesia during surgery and medical procedure. The new policy would have reimbursed doctors based on time limits set by the insurer. Anthem BCBS, one of the largest health insurers in the U.S., quietly announced a new reimbursement policy last month for Connecticut, New York, Missouri, beginning in February. The policy change triggered outrage from the American Society of Anesthesiologists. Initially, the policy update went unnoticed, but that changed Wednesday after United Health CEO Brian Thompson was shot and deleted in New York City. The deletion sparked a wave of online vitriol about the U.S. healthcare system, and the Anthem BCSB's decision roared into conversation. So, in other words, like I said, they felt, hey, anesthesia should be this amount of time for a procedure. After this amount of time, guess what? We're not paying for your anesthesia. So now the patient has to decide, am I going to pay for this anesthesia after putting up all this money for insurance that they paid for? And now you're going to make a policy change because you feel that this number should be the amount of time for this particular surgery.
Sir, excuse me. Sir, wake up, please. Your insurance has cut off. Do you have a credit card for the rest of the anesthesia for the procedure, sir? Thank you, sir. Would you like to add a tip, sir?
What the is wrong with you people?
I'll just need you to sign for the tip, okay?
Fuck you. Fisting Yawa.
See, but that's a problem in itself with that policy because every surgery is different. I don't know if I'm basing this is going to be a 3-hour surgery and then there's a complication. Now that 3 hours is now 7 hours. That to me is something categorically different. You can't create a policy when there's no safe planning.
But
in
that's what
between.
insurance companies
So,
do.
yes,
That's what they be doing.
correct, but that's correct. And like I said, something like that is wrong. You can't tell me that you're going to stop paying for anesthesia half surgery. That is a problem in itself. But how many people know those policies? They really don't. How many insurance companies do they put every single policy available for their people to look at? That is a problem in itself too. Do you know how you have so many employers that can pick and choose what they want to cover on these plans?
Here's the thing though. This is why people see him as a vigilante. Because of his actions, it made them stop their predatorial practice. That's basically the job of a vigilante. And you don't think that make people take even more joy into what he did? And pretty much you can't tell me people don't feel joy for what the man did because they have a give, send, go for him. And that junk currently, when I last checked, it was over $200,000. It was illegal funding so that he can get the best lawyers so that he can fight this case.
But think about it in general though, right? Yes, you have people that wholeheartedly believe what he did is right. But I'm sorry, it is not right. When you're going out and deleting somebody just because they have a different idea than you, just because they have a different practice than you, no, that is still not okay.
But that's not.
And unfortunately, in most states, vigilantism is banned. So it's not okay.
It is banned, but what is the job of a vigilante? To go against the grain. That's the job of a vigilante. It's hey.
But if there are laws that are against it and they don't want people doing it, then who's right in that instance?
I'm not gonna say that vigilantium in all cases is right, but at what point do we just go along and let stuff happen without any say whatsoever? Even if you go to these places and speak up at these meetings, like in Florida, for instance, when they had the meeting of people coming in talking about we don't want our books, banned, and we don't want Black history taken away from books, all these things. They literally had people inside of the meeting voicing their opinion, and they still voted to go on with it. So it's like, if you don't agree with stuff that's going on or whatever, this, that, and the third, and I'm not an advocate for violence or anything, but at what point, when what you're saying falls on deaf ears, do you be like, yo, I need to find another way? Because at this point, wouldn't we succumb to whatever it is that they say with like nothing we could do about it?
But think about it though, in the case of the school system, we voted those people in to make the decisions for us. So if we're the ones that's out voting and either these people are not portraying themselves how they want to be represented, or when I go and vote, you're telling me, hey, I didn't have a choice in this manner, then no, I can't be mad at what the decisions that they're making. We put them in office.
I'm glad you said that, because we don't have a say on who they put in as the CEOs and all these people as far as the health, these health insurances. Just look at the fire that happened in California. You know how many insurances was dropping people's freaking home insurance so they don't have to pay for the fires and all this stuff like that?
I'm using my moratorium power to stop all non-renewals and cancellations. Last night, I issued a bulletin to protect homeowners affected by the Palisades and Eaton fires from non-renewals and cancellations by your insurance companies for 1 year, under a moratorium law that I wrote while I was serving in the state Senate. This covers you even if your home wasn't destroyed or damaged in the wildfire. You can visit insurance.ca.gov to look up your zip code if you are near these wildfires and obtain that protection. I'm also calling on insurance companies to suspend any pending non-renewals and cancellations that homeowners received before these fires started.
Tyler Perry, Mr. Beast, they was talking about how, like Mr. Beast was talking about how there was 200 people that he helped for them to be able to walk again because the health insurance company was doing nothing to pay for them to be able to, get the therapy needed for them to be able to walk again.
Guys, I wanted to end this video a little differently than normal, and I wanted to say that the fact that some of these people had insurance and were denied, some of these people had insurance but didn't have the right coverage, it just doesn't sit right with me. Their only hope right now of getting a prosthetic leg so they can walk again, so they can go get a job, is for a YouTuber to step in and help them, which is absurd. I don't know what the answer is, but I wanted to say this so the 100 million people watching this can get inspired, because what I saw when filming this video is just obviously not okay. So anyways, thanks for watching.
Tyler Perry was talking about how he was looking to help people that lost their homes because insurance companies were freaking dropping their insurance with these fires and stuff like that. This is what I'm saying. These predatorial practices from insurance, period. At what point does it stop? Because you're constantly screwing people over. You're raking in all this money, and then when they need the money or the help to get whatever, you find a loophole to not give them their money. How is that right?
It is not right, but think about it. If you're telling me my insurance is about to drop me, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a notification. Once you get the notification, either it be in mail or email or on a statement, and you are given notice saying, hey, I need to go find a new company who is going to be able to give me coverage. It's not like that they're just dropping it and people aren't notified. So yes, you are given the chance to go with another company to be able to get this stuff. Are the rates going to be the same? Probably not. But you're given options. And the problem is you're looking at one company, one CEO, but there's hundreds and hundreds of different insurance companies that are out there. Now, if you're telling me, hey, this is the only plan that my company is providing, that's one thing. But a lot of times you have other avenues of getting health insurance going forward. That's why they put the marketplace into establishment, because you had a whole bunch of people who didn't have access to health insurance. That's why you started having other plans where if I have an employer plan, they're like, hey, you got 4 different tiers. You can either pay the high deductible, the middle of the road one, or the one that's going to cost you the highest. That's still giving people a choice to pick which option they want. You based it off of what your needs are at the time or what your foreseeable needs are. So yes, I understand that some of the predatory things are things out of your control, but you also have people who poorly plan on these things too. You have people who are given the option of health insurance and they're like, oh, well, I'm not sick right now, so I'm not going to take it. But then they never know what's going to happen down the line either. So no, I'm sorry. I don't agree with what was done to the CEO. I can't be fearful of me taking on a job and somebody not agreeing with me. That's not okay.
I wholeheartedly agree with you that you shouldn't take a job where you gotta fear harm may come to you. But at the end of the day, if you know you're doing greedy tactics or predatorial practices that's scamming people, so to speak, or finding loopholes to scam people out of hard-earned monies because you want more capital gain for yourself, I'm sorry, anybody in that position would have some type of thought process where it's like, yo, I know a lot of people hate me right now. Like, there's no way you can't tell me when you're sitting up here having greedy practices, you're not thinking to yourself at some point, yo, I know people are hating me right now, or I know I scammed X amount of people, but oh well, I'm living comfortable. There's no way you can tell me that don't cross a person's mind who has predatorial practices like that.
But see, this is the other thing though. Think about the responsibilities of a CEO. Maybe on one end or another, maybe they don't really realize that's what's happening. Because think about it. They're supposed to make the major corporate decisions. Major corporate decisions are not the everyday, daily ins and outs stuff. They're supposed to drive the direction of a company. If your company is in business to make a profit, what do you think you're trying to do? You're trying to make the most money possible. If your other job is to supervise the other executives. So I tell you, hey, this is the plan. And then it's, okay, how do we execute the plan? So yes, they may tell you this is what we want. This is the optimal growth that we want for this company. If you're not cluing me into all of the other nitty gritty, they realistically may not know what's going on. Maybe they don't know, hey, we changed a policy on anesthesia, which is how we're cutting cost in this one area and driving cost someplace else. It is a possibility.
I just want to show you this chart. Following the recent shooting death of United Healthcare's CEO, claim denial rates has recently become a highly scrutinized statistics in the news and on social media. I came across the chart below that indicates United Healthcare's denial rate is twice the industry average. The high denial rate has been hotly debated as potential reason that prompted the shooting incident. So you got Kaiser Permanente 7%, Oscar 12%, and Better 14%. Industry average is 16%. Blue Cross Blue Shield 17%, Cigna 18%, Molina 19%, Aetna 20%, CareSource 20%, Anthem 23%. Medicaid, I'm assuming that is 27%, and United Healthcare 32%. So out of all the insurers they have there, they have the highest percentage of denials. So
Correct. So now
go ahead.
Think about it though. When you start getting those denials, how many people really read the fine print and do the appeals? How many people go through with their doctor going, hey, I got denied for this reason specifically. So is there a way to fix that? Because think about it.
Sure.
That's something that I've had to do multiple times. Doesn't matter which company I've had to go through that process. You're telling me
I'm pretty sure if you have families of a person that's fighting cancer or something like that, and they're pretty much seems like they're on their last leg, I guarantee you all the family members are chipping in to get as much repeals or whatever the case may be to try to get their insurance company to freaking pull through. I guarantee you that, especially if they don't have the money or anything, I bet you they're fighting tooth and nails, seeing if they could even possibly sue to figure out a way to get, their loved one the help that they need.
Now think about it. You do have some people that are like that, but you have a whole slew of people when it's like, oh, well, I got denied, so I'm not going to go through that process either. So it's a catch-22 with that kind of stuff, because you do have a group of people to be like, you know what, I'm denied, so sad, too bad, I'm gonna move on. But yes, you're right. I agree with your point on that as well. When you have somebody that it's a life or death situation and they need whatever the medication is or the surgery, they are going to go through every single process to make sure that they can get it handled. So that is the other thing. It's like, at what point do you stop blaming the CEO for that? The CEO doesn't have that kind of control. They may have the vision for the company, but they do not know that nitty-gritty stuff.
That is true, that they don't. But when you look at it when you're from the outside looking in, let's just say for the sake of argument, if there's a shooting that happened, right? And the people felt like the police overstepped their bounds, right? And the chief comes out and says nothing that even speaks towards the police officer overstepping their bounds. In your mind, you're going to look at it as, okay, then you're part of the Getalong Game. Now, I guarantee you, if the CEO would have came out and said, hey, like, yo, there's some unhealthy, like, for instance, when Blue Cross, the article I showed you, Blue Cross came out and said they're going to do that thing with the anesthesia, right? If the CEO would have came out and been like, yo, we understand we have this policy coming out, this, that, and the third. I'm trying to do everything to try to reverse this or whatever, or to make things more affordable, yada, yada, this, that, and the third. People would be like, you know what? I get it. Somebody over his head is trying to pull the strings, this, that, and the third. But if nothing is said, people are going to view it as this is part of the Getalong Game. Now I get it. Some people are going to be like, yo, you shouldn't have to do that as a CEO, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. But after this, I think it's going to make people think twice when it comes to these things. Because even when to go back to speaking about a police shooting or something like that, now you see chiefs and stuff like that coming out and speaking against when somebody is blatantly wrong, this, that, and the third. Why? Because they don't want people to feel like this is our intentions. We're part of the Getalong Game. No, we're actually trying to do right, and we're trying to get the bad cops out of here, this, that, and the third. So I believe it's going to spark a change, as it did spark a change with Blue Cross. And I wholeheartedly do understand your points where it's like, yo, if you're a CEO, this might not have nothing to do with you because you have a board and everything. I totally get all those aspects on it. But what I will say is this: when you're in a line of business that people are putting hard-earned money into for a rainy day, and when that rainy day comes, they can't access them funds, you don't know what you may push that person to do because they feel like they got screwed. So that's where I stand on that. What is your final thoughts on it?
My final thoughts is a job is a job, and I should not have to fear my life because of the choices that I decided to make for employment. I understand wholeheartedly that this person felt wronged. I understand wholeheartedly that this person is going to be held to the fullest extent of the law for their actions. But I'm sorry, I can't replace the CEO for their family either.
My last question to you is, what about the thousands of people who lost their lives because they got screwed from insurance companies? What about the thousands compared to the one person that lost his life? 32% denial rate.
The problem that I have with that is, even though this person lost his life, it may not spark a change, unfortunately. So this person could have done this act and it could potentially go in vain, because I still have not seen any companies saying, hey, we're revamping the whole system. I'm not seeing where the government is stepping in and saying, you guys as a company need to revamp the whole system. You
but
do
are you
get
looking
one-off
for that,
cases
though?
like the thing with ship.
My thing is,
I did try
are
to
you
look up
looking
a few
to see if there's
stories because
changes?
I knew we were going to be doing this. Well, I did start looking it up. I haven't seen any changes yet. Can it be the potential for change? Yes, because you do have a whole group of people that are in an uproar.
Did you not read the
But
article that
do you think it's
CEOs
gonna
were
come?
on the? Did you not read the article that CEOs were on the edge and trying to blocking their LinkedIn and all this other stuff like this, so that, you know, for running for protection, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. That's sparking a change where it's like, yo, people are trying to hold our feet to the fire for XYZ.
You mean it's sparking a change that they're not having their information publicly out there? Yes, but it's not sparking a change with their companies quite yet, because the companies have not come out publicly saying what they're doing and what they're changing, is what I'm saying. I have not seen that part yet. I've seen where they are protecting themselves as a CEO, as an executive, where they are no longer publishing that information on their websites, where they are trying to scrub as much of that information as possible, because yes, they are fearful for their lives and for their families' lives at this point. But have I publicly heard where companies said, hey, we went through and our policies have changed. Here's the updated policies. I've not seen that yet. Is it something that can come down in the works? Of course. But until I see actions, that's when I start believing it.
Well, when I see actions like this young lady is gonna speak on right here.
It's 2025 and insurance just keeps getting worse. I just did 2 bilateral deeps and 2 bilateral tissue expanders for patients. And I've never had this happen before, but during the second deep, I got a phone call into the operating room saying that United Healthcare wanted me to call them about one of the patients who was having surgery today, who was actually asleep having surgery. And, said I had to call right now. So I scrubbed out of my case and I called United Healthcare, and the gentleman said he needed some information about her, wanted to know her diagnosis and whether her inpatient stay should be justified. And I was like, do you understand that she's asleep right now? And she has breast cancer. And the gentleman said, actually, I don't. That's a different department that would know that information. And I was like, well, she does need to stay overnight tonight. And you have all the information with you because I got approval for this surgery. And I need to go back and be with my patient now. But yeah, it's out of control. Insurance is out of control. I have no other words.
While that continues to happen, I guarantee you, this ain't the last that we seen of somebody wanting to be a vigilante.
This is always going to be the debate until we do inflict change and there is some kind of change that is implemented. Because no, that is not okay. You're calling a physician while they're in surgery or right out of surgery when they should be taking care of patients. They should not be having to deal with those types of calls. Their job is to make sure that the patient is okay. All of that other stuff should be handled outside of that realm. There is a department, you have a billing department, you have, an assessment team that goes through all of those things. In my heart of hearts, a doctor should have never had to go through that at all. I don't care what the prognosis is. I don't care what the surgery is for. They should not be distracted when their job is to take care of patients.
Well, there you have it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We would love to hear. Do you feel like Luigi Mangione is a vigilante, or do you feel like he's the scum of the earth? Let us know what your thoughts is. We would love to hear your take in the comment section. If it's your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking that notification bell so that you could be notified for more content like this. This is Matter of Opinion, and ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
It's a matter of opinion.